Hello. So welcome back to the new Java section about arithmetic expressions. So in this video, I like to show how to use Java to do the math expressions to calculate use addition, subtraction, multiplications, and division, and also want to look at the precedence to see it should be the same as in math. The order of operations just like please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Places stands for parentheses. Excuse for exponents. My is multiplication. Dear is division. Aunt is addition and Sally is subtraction. So let's take a look. And I'm going to call this class as arithmetic. Alrighty, so by default, Eclipse like to insert the single line comments to tell us since it's auto-generated the methods and class, and this is the part that we want to type code. So now also we like to do some comments. This is called multiple line comments to say who's the author, the date of this program, and the purpose of this program. This is a good way to write a code. Always put the comments in your program. The purpose. So the purpose, let's say we're going to demonstrate how to add, subtract, divide, multiply, and we also have the modulation. Modulation is going to returns a remainder. Now let's explain in math a little bit. So if I say 3 divided by 2, so we see that the whole number is going to be 1. Okay, and remainder is going to be 1. Okay, now if I say 10 divided by 3, the whole number is going to be 2 and remainder is going to be the whole should be 3 because 3 is 9 and remainder is 1. So another example, 11 divided by 3. So in this case the whole is going to be 3 because 3 times 3 is 9 and 11 and 9 difference is 2, so remainder is 2. Now we know that in Java, let's see, I'm going to show JOptionPane.show. We know JOptionPane is just a pop-up message, right? A pop-up dialog to express I want to calculate 10 divided by 3. Okay, so let's run the program. So the answer is 3, right? Now, if I want to say the message D, we say the quotient is okay, and the remainder is. Now the question is, how do we get the remainder? That's why this modulation modulator operator here is going to come into play. So we want to do 10 and say mod. This is a modulator, not percentage. So in math, we may see it as percentage. In Java, we call modulator to get a remainder. Like in this case, if I say 10 mod 3, it's going to return 1. Okay, because that's the remainder. Like in Java, we know that we can get just 10 divided by 3 is 3. The integers divided by integers get the integers out. So now let's see what we get. The quotient is 3 and the remainder is 1. There you go. If you want to put something like that, 10 divided by 3. Okay. The quotient, let me make it a better sentence. The quotient of 10 divided by 3 is, right, and the remainder is, the quotient of 10 divided by 3 is 3 and the remainder is 1. Alright, so that is how to use the divisions and modulations. Now, we understand the basic of this. So I want to introduce you to the, instead of using scanner, we can use JOptionPane to read input from the user. So what we try to do, let's create a small program here to do some calculations. Let's say we're going to do an applications that prompt the users. Okay, I want to prompt the user by using the JOptionPane input dialog. Okay, and the user is going to provide the hours that he or she works. So the user works for how long? Okay, so I'm going to say JOptionPane dot show input dialog, and the message say enter the labor hours. Okay, and then also the user is going to enter that. Now it's going to say JOptionPane again dot show input dialog. The question is, you can always prompt that out and ask here. I'm going to say enter the hours, right, hour rates. Okay, now this should return just like when you use scanner dot keyboard dot next int, then it's going to return. So int is going to return string, integers. Next is going to maybe review back. Let me open this up. So int is going to return an integer, so integers, right? So if you do another one like hello my name, if we say next line is going to return a string, so the string, right? So but for JOptionPane it's different. JOptionPane is always going to read input as a string. Okay, so I'm going to say string, right? It's going to be the labor, right? Hours. I'm going to say, I'm going to put str, stand for string. Then we know we're dealing with string. And you can always initialize to a quotation means nothing and empty values in there. Another one is string like hour rates initialized to an empty string. Now then we prompt the user to enter. After the user entered, then we going to need to read in and put that into the string labor hours. So the string value has shown up, labor hours. So that means the input being stored into string labor hours after the user entered, and also the same string hour rates. So the input is going to be stored in string hour rates. Alright, so now let's just verify that a little bit by using JOptionPane show message dialog. So I'm going to modify this a little bit. So the hours, the labor hours, right, is the labor hours. Or, we can say this can be either 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, the labor hour is, so let's see if we're able to get that in. So it's going to be string labor hours. So it should show up here. And now we're going to try to change and. So I'm going to make it to be period and code a new line by using the escape sequence. And then, and the hour rate is, right, should be string hour rates. So let's save and run and see if we get that up. Enter the labor hours, 10. Enter hour rates, 30. So the labor hour is 10 and the hour rate is 30. Let's put a period at the end by using plus and quote. So that's how we get a period at the end. So let's quit that and rerun it. We should see the period at the end. That's 8 hours a day and $20 per hour. Now, I want the program to be able to calculate, okay, the inputs that the user input. Okay, this is going to be like the pay calculator. So it's going to say enter hours, enter rates, and I'm going to show you how much you're supposed to get. So, and I want to put a symbols. The rate is right 20 with the dollar signs, dollars like per hour, right? Now, if I want to do slash, let's see if it's going to show up as we expect. 8 hours, 20, right? And the hour it says $20 per hour. Now, how would we calculate these values? If it is a string, you cannot use this in, you cannot use the addition, subtraction, or the mathematic operators with a string, okay? So you need to change this to be numbers type first. The number types could be an integer, doubles, so it depends now. In this case, the rates can be in double. The number of hours can be in double if you want to. So what we need to do is we need to do the conversions and we want to convert to double. So let me declare a couple more variables to use. One is the labor hours, right? So I'm going to say dbl at the front, then we know this is referring to the double values of the labor hours. str is the string values of the labor hours. So dbl again for hour rates. So the reason I picked double, like I said, it can be $20.50 per hour. It can be 1 hour and a half. So now I'm going to use the double again for, okay, pay, right? Double pay amount. So now, since we want to use type double, you may notice that before I put double with a capitalized, that is a class, just like string. Right? I can also use primitive data type, which is the lowercase. Okay. Now, if you see a class, a double class, this is a class we call a wrapper class. Okay. A wrapper class is a class of the primitive data types. Like double primitive data types has a class named double, and the reason we need a class because it's going to serve on this one purpose too, which is I want to convert a string of string labor hours, okay, to a double type of labor hours. And in order to do that, it's going to return the values back into double, and we use the method from double class, just like when you use the method from keyboard, right? Not next. And now double, we have the methods name parse double. So this is going to pop up the Java doc again. So you start to learn a new class again. So what you have learned so far, you learn how to use scanner class, you learn how to use JOptionPane class, and now you're going to learn how to use double class. It's pretty much it's going to take the values in string and returns the value back in double. So I recommend you to check the Java doc for double too. So we're going to use parse double and pass the string version of the labor hours. So now we just convert the string version from the user input to a double. Now it's going to happen the same with the hour rates. So we want to convert it first before we can do the calculations. Otherwise, we cannot do any mathematic calculations with the string values. Okay. Now, when you want Eclipse to insert this for you, you can, when you start to type PA and you select the method, you can hit Tab key. It's going to fill in the rest for you. Then you don't have to manually type the whole word. Alright, so we should get the numbers, two of this number, and create a mathematical expressions, arithmetic expressions to calculate the pay amount, right? Which is going to be double labor hours multiply, which is using the asterisk, with double hour rates. Alright, so we get the double pay amount. Then we can start to, we call concatenating this, pretty much just put a new line and say, let me just try to enter to a new line. Then it's going to fill in the screen here and say hours, the pay the pay amount is, and then we say double pay amount. Like in this case, we don't need to convert back to string because we just use plus. Like we know that concatenation, you can just do concatenate between string and numbers, which is double. And you can concatenate string to the string version itself, which is fine. So we don't have to worry about converting back. And now we need to put a period at the end. So let's test the program. Enter the label of hours, so 8 hours and $20. So the payment amount is 160. So let's put the $sign in front. Okay, so now that we have learned how to do the simple mathematical operations and to use multiplications and convert the string type before you can do calculations using the nice look graphic user interface with the JOptionPane. $64, $8 per hour, working for 8 hours. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is, so I did show you how to use multiplications, divisions, multiplications, addition and subtractions. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to ask for the tax rates. Okay, so the user is going to need to enter the rates. So what we're going to do after it say enter the hour rates, so we're going to say tax rates. So we need to create a string for that. So enter the tax rates. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to deduct the tax rate from his paycheck here. So that means we start to, I'm going to show you how to use subtraction. So after we get the whole amount, we need to do the same before we can calculate the rates. We need to convert the string of the tax rates, right, into the double version of the tax rates. So I need to also declare my double tax rates right here. Then we can use that as the double type. So now tax rate is going to calculate from the total amount, right, times tax rates. So when we multiply that, we gonna get the tax amount. So I need to declare it again before I can use. I always have to declare all the variables in the beginning of my programs. And now after that, it's going to have the amount of the tax. Then we can subtract out. So now I'm going to say double, right, net pay, right? So that's net pay after the tax. Alright, so that means double pay amount, subtract double tax amount. So now the pay amount is, then we can just keep concatenating this and say, okay, tax amount is, right, and then we say double tax amount, concatenating again to go to new line and put a period in front and say the net payment, the net payment is double net pay, and then do the same, concatenate with the period. Let's run this program again. Enter the labor hours. Working for 10 hours, $8 per hours. Tax rate, let's say. Okay, so now since this is going to be a rate, so we're going to say, let's say, point. This is a double, so we can just put the point. Let's say tax rate is going to be 30%. So $10, 80 hours. I mean 10 hours, $8 per hour, $80. At 30%, pretty much just you have to pay tax for $24. So the net pay left is $56 per paycheck. So let's put all the dollar signs in front. Here the tax amount is, and the net payment is. And that's how you pretty much use the expressions to help mathematical expressions, simple expressions here. Right, multiplications and subtractions and all other operators that you can use. Addition is pretty much the same thing, just replace this minus with plus. It depends on the application that you try to write. If you have to subtract, if you want to add. Alright, so now if you have any question or concern, you can just create a question under the forum on talkrebel.com, and I pretty much like to go there and check and respond to your questions and concerns. Alright, now have a good day, and I'll show you how to write a program in Java in next class or in next video. Thank you.